Hi, this is Joe Mullings with The Other Side. Today I've got Tim Blair on. Tim is the VP of Sales and Marketing out of NAGLREITER. NAGLREITER is, and I'm going to let him explain it to you, it's not quite an incubator, it's not an accelerator, it's actually an elevator, and it'll make sense after Tim explains it to you. But what's interesting today is this is indicative of the people who have been called to the emergency at hand, the crisis at hand, both the inventors, the universities, the hospitals who are coming and looking for a place to accelerate the technologies that they have and toss a hand in helping here with this entire COVID-19 scenario we've got. So, Tim, thanks for joining us from Miami today, and I appreciate you taking time out from your busy day.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe. Appreciate it.
So could you explain, just so we can set a context around it, your role with NAGLREITER, what NAGLREITER does, and then the inbound that you've had over the last 2 weeks that you and I have been on the phone discussing?
Good. Yeah. So my role at NAGLREITER, Vice President of Sales and Marketing, I'm really the front line of most of NAGLREITER's activities in the way of new projects. Just to kind of give you the overview of NAGLREITER, a little bit different than your standard incubator, if you will, for medical devices. We always like to pride ourselves in that we're a little bit unique in that we not only build, that our systems and our workflows and our facility are capable of building great products, but more importantly, we're capable of building great companies. And I think for us, that's what separated us is from other facilities, design houses, contract manufacturers. We have always felt that we were a little bit different in that we focused on building value for those companies. And so all of our systems, our workforce, it goes beyond just engineering of great stuff and manufacturing great stuff. It's really about doing that, but also making sure you're bringing corporate value to these different ventures so that they do get to the bedside. That they can make a difference in the real world. So that's been a little bit about what we do. I will tell you, Joe, in the last, I would say 2 weeks, we've gone from pure panic, right? If I think about what happened in NAGLREITER on those first calls was here you had all of these incubating programs, these technologies that were in various stages of their evolution. And we had this pipeline of new technologies coming into the facility, and everything went cold. We all stopped, and we went into panic mode of what are we going to do with our workforce? What are we going to do with these projects? We, of course, worked with our clients and different companies to figure out how to best wind them down, what winds down, what doesn't wind down. And so, yeah, as a business, there was some panic that set in. You said, oh my God, everything just stopped. And some projects lingered, some projects kind of kept going where they could. We obviously had to be flexible. But here's the beauty. There were a couple things that came loud and clear. One was our flexible model became incredible of new value, right? We always built this flexibility to support startups and innovations. And here it was always in the thought of funding strategies and things like that. Well, here we got hit with a pandemic, which nobody predicted, but it allowed companies to pause. And so from a client satisfaction standpoint, we said, as a team, let's focus on client satisfaction. That comes first. And we said, let's just do the right thing. We're not going to get into contractual crap. We're not going to get hung up on these things. We just have to figure out how to satisfy the clients, and so that our model will allow them to turn it off for a little bit, not burn. Things aren't moving. Maybe we can move where we can, but that we can flip the switch and turn it back on. So here's the flexibility of our model, really bringing value to our clients. Just as importantly, we've learned that the flexibility of the facility, we always say it's the facility on wheels, right? We can shift the workforce, we can shift the facility a little bit. And so what we've seen happen in the last couple of weeks is now we're dealing with a flurry of a whole new set of programs that came out of the woodwork. And so we're actively trying to figure out how to digest a whole new world of projects, all centered around it's ventilator programs, it's mask programs, it's telemedicine projects, and so that's what I've been dealing with over the last couple of weeks, Joe. Is now we're trying to balance what we were doing with all this new flurry of activity, which is really exciting because it's exciting for everybody at inside of NAGLREITER, but it's really becoming a delicate balancing act right now.
Now, you're a veteran of the med tech industry. You've been with a number of well-known organizations, as well as an entrepreneur yourself with your own startups. And now with the elevator model at NAGLREITER and having that flexibility that that model in particular brings, it almost assumes some of the risk for the client as they go through their developmental side, whether it's A round, B round, C round, and all the way through acquisition and commercialization. Do you think this scenario is going to change a portion of the early stage med tech industry, and we're going to now not think of black swans because they're not expected, and maybe we can expect these moving forward?
Well, I think that it makes you appreciate the need for flexibility. I think I wrote in a recent post that obviously the new world is upon us. We've always said flexibility needs to be part of an innovator's mindset, and that you have to go into this with how do I stay lean and mean? How do I weather the imperfections and the unpredictable? Here's a classic example, right? You had entire design plans mapped out perfectly. Nobody built pandemics into their design plans. And so this really, to us, resonates with the need for these types of, for inside of innovation, the need for this kind of flexibility, and that this model helps people weather the unpredictable. And we're doing it. We're living it right now with whatever it is, 8, 10 clients who are benefiting from the elevator, right? They're benefiting from the ability to say, thank you guys for turning this down. And we stay tuned every week. This is a fluid environment. Every week, I would almost say every day, we're having new conversations with existing and potential clients. And it's a very fluid environment right now, more fluid than it's ever been. And so our flexibility is allowing us to really entertain not only new things for our business, but it's become communal, right? It's about the community. It's about the world. It's the things we're embracing are, we've got people inside NAGLREITER building ventilators right now. There's nobody paying them to do this. They're inside creating new novel ideas. And those ideas have now, gained the interest of local universities. We're working with Florida International University. We're working with Baptist Hospital, where all of a sudden these ideas are starting to reach out in the community. We're gaining more support, more resources. So much so that now you have people rallying, which is always exciting, to say, what can I do to help? I'm not an engineer. How can I help? And so, Joe, it's just one of those things you say, wow, it is amazing in a time of crisis what people are able to do and accomplish. And so that's been pretty exciting for us, and we're able to accommodate that, right? We're allowing that to work inside of our facility to figure out how we can solve some pretty big problems.
Now, you are a world-class facility. I'm familiar with it. I've seen it firsthand. It's impressive as heck. As an entrepreneur, you're super close to the person at the bottom of the org chart as well as the top of the org chart. Well, maybe that might not be true with, Jeff Marth, who's the president of Medtronic. And so the intimacy in some of these small organizations at times is both a blessing and a potential curse when you have to start to make some very specific decisions. How has that been managed and navigated so far these first couple of weeks? And what are you thinking about when this possibly goes on 2, 3, 4, 5 months?
Almost, we've joked, we've said, I'm not even sure what the purpose of a 90-day plan is right now. We've been almost living week to week trying to figure out what are the top priorities. And I know our executive leadership team, we're meeting every day for a good, supposed to be an hour, it's turning into 2 hours every day, just talking about the priorities, everything from projects to people to, loans, what are the things we can do? I mean, there's just a variety of topics. But kind of focusing on your question is that the planning is really just built around trying to stick to our core values, and that is customers are number one, right? We're focusing on customer satisfaction. We have to pay attention to the financials, but we're really paying attention to, first and foremost, the clients, and a close second is our employees. And by having these meetings, Joe, we've been able to kind of come up with some very interesting, this is where these solutions become very interesting, because there are opportunities presenting themselves that are able to accomplish both. And I think, so here we're doing the right thing by the existing clients. We've had to back burner some things. That really hurts a lot of people, right? That puts a lot of people, quote unquote, on furlough, or they're not getting the hours they need. And that's very difficult for some folks at our facility. But out of that, right now we're finding, we've got people with time who are doing some really interesting work in the community, and that work is coming back to us a little bit. Hey, they need help. NAGLREITER can help. And so we're quickly filling our own voids with new exciting projects that people are rallying behind, people are investing into. It's putting our own employees to work. It's making clients incredibly satisfied. And then, of course, to us, the financials are hopefully going to be the result of that. So we're really living, I would say, literally day to day, project by project, but just staying focused on our priorities, which are clients, our people, and in that order. And we believe, will we come out of this in 3-4 months? We really have no idea. We know the future will look different, but we're really just trying to live in the now at this point.
Yeah, I imagine, moving forward now, I'm 58, so I've been through 1990. I was through 2000, 2001, 2008, and had my own event in 2015. This feels exactly the same, and it feels a lot different. How about yourself? You've been through some of those as well.
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about this, and I've talked about it with our executive teams. We've all been through this before. I think there was some initial panic that we all had to lean on each other a little bit to just kind of everybody time out, and let's focus on solutions, right? I think initially at our organization, right, you go into a panic because clients aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Employees are reacting a little bit wonky and funny and doing things that you might not think are right. And so we quickly had to just regroup and say, guys, let's just make sure that there's plenty of problems to find. I think we've discovered that there's no shortage of problems, and that it's all about focusing on solutions. It's making sure that we're working and seeking to solve the right things, not just looking for problems, but just figuring out how to get these problems solved, if you will. And so, again, it goes back to prioritization. And this is why I love these daily meetings. They grind a little bit. They're a little bit repetitive, but it's constantly focusing on the priorities of the organization and the people. And so for us, it's just really about trying to settle into the new norm, right? We're all adapting. We're all in this together. And I would just tell you that in the last couple of weeks, there's a handful of us that have never been busier than we are right now. And some of it's dealing with the situation, but I would tell you more of it is just there's just a new flurry of activity that needs to that needs focus, and it's these new projects, it's these new technologies, it's healthcare reinventing itself very quickly to solve some very big problems. And so, you know, we're spending, 12, 16-hour days all of a sudden just talking with all of these different technologies and trying to figure out what can fit inside the incubator, and how do we get these things done? How do we fund them, et cetera, et cetera. And so we just have this whole new set of, I wouldn't even call them issues. I would say we've turned them into amazing opportunities. And I can tell you right now, Joe, 2 weeks ago, none of us saw this coming. Mm-hmm. And now I'm looking back on the last 2 weeks and I'm going, wow, look at us. I mean, we have more on our plate than we know what to do with. We will have to say no to a bunch of stuff. That's what's going to happen, mm-hmm. because we will reach our own capacity issues. That is really the issue I foresee coming, next week is, mm-hmm. well, we can take that and we can take that, but we just can't take all of this. So which ones do you take and why?
Yeah. As we wrap up, what was your biggest surprise over the last couple weeks? Obviously, then this COVID thing, that's the easy one. That's the big fat softball. What's been your biggest surprise that you were driving home one night and you were like, man, I didn't expect that out of this crisis?
I would say it's a couple things. I guess we see it here in South Florida when I've always attributed this to like hurricanes a little bit, right? And those are short and quick moments of crisis here in South Florida where people rally, right? And I'm always amazed when a hurricane happens that they're devastating. They knock people out. You get punched in the face a little bit, but isn't it amazing, Joe, how people rally? People are there for each other. They're helping. Everybody's lending a hand, and nobody's asking for anything. I'm always amazed by that. This is tenfold, 20-fold, 100-fold that, right? It's amazing to me when I look at the collaborations that I and my team are involved with. Just today, we're talking to Stanford University. We're on the horn with Ohio Health, who has some ideas and wants to figure things out. We're working hand in hand with FIU and Baptist and Memorial Hospital here in South Florida, and everybody's trying to chip in and donate resources or time or money, or that is always, to me, maybe the blessing in all of this somehow is when you witness this and you're a part of that. I am always overwhelmed with it, Joe, that innovation and ideas can flourish, and the outpour of people and resources, it's just overwhelming to me. And I love watching it. I love being a part of it. I mean, nothing gets me or the rest of our teams excited than when we're on calls with these dynamic physicians and universities and hospitals, and everybody's chipping in to figure out ways to solve the problem. Here's what we can do. We can give this much money, or we'll write a PO for this many ventilators if you guys can. I mean, everybody's kind of chipping in to find a way to be a part of it, and it's making it work. It's making it happen. I'm just convinced healthcare is going to have to do this to pull us all out of this globally. I mean, we're operating in a very regional perspective, but I think collectively, healthcare is on the hook right now to pull us out.
Yeah, and you and I, me 3 decades, and you probably just as many. I think we always realized that this is where the truth and the heroes were, and now we're seeing that firsthand.
Yeah. On the front lines and in the back offices, I think
100%.
I think there's a lot of people doing work right now in the back rooms that don't get the handshakes and the pats on the back. I mean, there's some people even in our facility doing stuff that I'm saying, God, they're out there at night still working on this thing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tim, I appreciate your time today. Keep fighting the good fight. I know you've got a great team down there in NAGLREITER. I've experienced them firsthand. Wishing you and your family well through this.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
You bet. And this has been Joe Mullings with The Other Side.